Dave Staublin here, and we're talking sampling and surveys. So one of the things that happens when you do opinion polls or any kind of poll by telephone is that you get a lot of people that never answer the phone, or they answer the phone and refuse to talk to you, or you find out that a portion of the people that you talk to are not eligible to talk to you because maybe they're not 18, or maybe there's a language difficulty, or maybe you get partway through the poll with the person and they quit talking to you. These are all reasons why opinion polls by phone don't get completed. So in this particular example, a polling company made 2,879 phone calls and only 1,000 completed the interview. That's a positive response rate of only 35%, which means the non-response was way high. So when we're talking random samples, it may not be simple and it may not be random, and that's what's going on in this section. So there's two types of sampling errors in broad groups, and the first is a random sampling error, and the second is a non-sampling error. And I think it's easiest just to talk about the examples. So one of the things is, if you have a small sample size, you're going to get a lot of variability. And so the best thing that you can do is choose a larger sample. If you'll recall, the margin of error is 1 divided by the square root of your sample size. The bigger your sample, the smaller your margin of error. There are also poor sampling methods. We've talked about voluntary response, where the people choose to respond, and we've talked about convenience sampling, where the interviewer makes the choice. And in both of these, personal choice produces bias. We really need to select the people that we talk to using chance or probability. Undercoverage is another kind of sampling error, and this happens when there's certain groups in the population that are left out of the sampling frame. And the sampling frame is basically a list of the individuals that you're going to talk to, and ideally it should include everybody in the population. And so undercoverage could occur if you're calling people. There may be groups of people that don't have phones. People in Alaska and Hawaii are typically not called because the time zones are so different. And people who move a lot or are poor may not have phones or may not be easily contacted. And so those people tend to be undercovered. There are also processing errors. And this would be like arithmetic errors when you're adding up all the responses and you just add something wrong. Or maybe you're doing a phone interview, and what you're doing is you're writing down what the person is telling you, and you may make a typo or write the wrong thing, or maybe interpret their answer correctly. Another is called a response error, and this is when a subject gives the wrong response, either intentionally or unintentionally. The intentional reasons can be lies or omissions. For example, if you're doing a poll and people have to be 18 or older, someone that's 17 years old may lie about their age. Or if you're asking questions about how much people earn, or whether they use legal or illegal drugs, or whether they have psychiatric issues like mental disease, people tend to maybe not want to be honest about these things, so they may give you a wrong response. People may also be embarrassed to admit that they're racist or bigoted. They want to keep that to themselves. Another type of non-response error is when somebody has a phone and you call them and they just don't answer, or you call them and the subject refuses to cooperate. I know quite often that's what I do because I don't want to talk to somebody when they're calling me at dinner time. Another thing is the wording of the question. How does the wording influence the answer that people give? And so oftentimes the questions will be leading, where they're trying to get you to answer a certain way. Or they're loaded questions where you're only going to want to answer one way because the other answer might make you look bad. So one of the ways to handle the non-sampling errors is substitute a different household or a different subject for non-responses. So if Dave Staublin doesn't answer the phone, skip him and call Dan Staublin instead and see if you can get a response from that person. The other thing that you can do is you can weight the responses so that all the households have equal influence. So those are the types of sampling errors and issues that there are. Please read page 103 to 113 to get more details and more specific details, and then this is the assignment here. And the answer key for this problems are on Moodle.